It's Friday, and I'm back with the next in our Fanzine Friday series. Today we're taking a look at the Palantir number 2 from 1980. Please stick around. I'm AZ Mountaineer, and this is our channel, Old School Rules, where we celebrate the community of old school gamers and grognards who like classic RPGs, miniatures, magazines, and everything that goes with it. Each week on the Fanzine Friday series, I take a fanzine from my collection off the shelf for a closer look. Today, that's the Palantir number 2 from 1980. Hope you enjoy the video. Last week, we started taking a look at a new fanzine called the Palantir. Today, we're taking a look at issue number 2 from 1980. This is produced in the United Kingdom. It's a product of a group called the Bristol Avon D&D Association. One of the things that's unique about this fanzine that they talked about in the very first issue is that it's a collaborative effort of that group. Today's editorial signed off on by Tony Ellam, who's a different person from the person who wrote that up for issue number 1. And we'll see from the contributors that the names of the people that are involved seem to be shifting from issue to issue. If you join the BADDA group, I don't know if they called it BADA or not, you get free copies of the fanzine as well as reduced cost to attend any of their events, and we'll tell you they actually seem to be fairly active, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a second. Let's start by taking a look at the cover. Again, very old school art, you know, the kind of thing that I probably could have drawn up or would have drawn up when I was 15 or 18 or whatever. I like the snake. He's floating up in the air. I'm not sure if he's been summoned or what the deal is with that snake. And it's almost like he's holding him there with a magical apple. I'm sure that's a ball or some other kind of artifact. But in any event, I like the drawing. No attribution, just like last time. No attribution, particularly for the art. Last time they wrote the words in English script. Today they've got actually print type there. And then last time they had dragons up there by the words, and this time it looks like they've got crystal balls instead. This is the size we're used to. It's just pink paper folded in half for the cover, and then regular paper folded in half for the rest of it, held together by a couple of staples. I actually have so this was produced in 1980, but I actually have one that is identified as being a first reprint from September of 1981. So at least some of these original ones did get reprinted later on. I'll tell you in a minute how I can figure out exactly when this was produced, though, because there's, again, no dates given for the publication. Some fanzines did that, some fanzines did not. So we've got the editorial. As they mentioned, that they're highlighting that it's gotten a little bigger, it's gotten a little more expensive, and they're broadening out besides just doing Dungeons and Dragons. We'll see that here in a minute. And they also give you different addresses depending on whether you want to give contributions or subscriptions, etc. So they've got the editorial page, vital statistics, which is going to be a review of some miniatures, a crossword puzzle, which is a new one for me. So I'll be doing that as soon as I get done recording this video, test myself. They say it's challenging. The Alien, which is new monsters that come from the movie that was so popular. So they've statted out the various creatures from the Alien movie. Smash and Stab Part 1, which is a more detailed explanation about what some of these different weapons were that you would see in the game. And you know, a number of different products were put out to that effect. Bata Fighter is a summary of, I think it's a summary from their campaign. It's just a one-page thing that Steve Gailor wrote up. And it talks about, I like it, it's drawn me in, so maybe it's fiction, I'm not sure. But the characters were drawn in to go looking for this treasure. It turned out to be a trap. It appears that they all were killed in a second or third battle, and in the first battle the paladin is okay, but another fighter was deeply injured. He's healed a little bit but not enough, so the paladin says, here, wear my armor, right? So you're better protected. I'm a paladin, I'm not afraid, and so we'll go out and fight. So then they all get killed. And then so this other group, it ends with this other group comes upon the dead bodies, recognizes the armor crest as being this famous paladin, recognizes a cleric who's got a powerful father, who's I think a powerful cleric, and so they say, well, take these two famous people with us, leave the rest of the bodies. And so of course next time we're going to find out when they get there that isn't actually the paladin, that is actually a guy named Bata, which happens to be Bristol Avon D&D Association, the Bata the fighter. Menagerie new monsters. Late Nights is a little article talking about the importance of dungeon masters reading fantasy fiction, historical information to get inspiration for the campaigns. And I think they correctly point out, if you don't get inspiration from outside sources, you can kind of get into a rut, or your campaigns and your ideas can become kind of flat. And so they say you can really flesh this out. I'll share with you a little bit about what they suggest. Piers Anthony, the Xanth series, the Tarot series, Battle Circle trilogy, Ursula Le Guin, Ursi trilogy, the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, S.R. Donaldson, The Fellowship of the Talisman by Clifford Simak, and Anne McCaffrey's Dragon books, and Hugh Ray has written something called Hark Fast, I think is the word they say, which is focuses on a druid for a change, which is not particularly common. And so he thinks all that's good, and he talks about how that's where some of the monsters came from in the last Palantir issue. And of course, here they're drawing from fiction as well as a movie that they've seen. The second thing they say you should read besides fiction is gaming magazines, but they correctly point out that a lot of players read those too, and so your ideas may be okay, but certainly if you try to take dungeons from there, the players may have read those, right? So they know all the secrets of the dungeon. And the third thing they say is, of course, read historical works, because that can be equally informative to how you develop your campaign. And then the last thing they have are new weapons, like 10 new firearms that you could use in the Traveler campaign. And I don't usually talk much about Traveler, so we're not going to have those on here. Here are our contributors: Tony Ellam, Mark Dugdale, Stephen Gailor, Stephen Cox, Robert Malos, Brian Betts, Steve Morris, Elliot James, and Mark Dugdale. Here's the vital statistics. This is a review of new miniatures produced by Citadel and Raoul Partha. They talk about their Citadel's put out a new mummy, a new vampire, a new white, and then Raoul Partha has put out some new clerics, a good cleric, an evil cleric, and I don't know, maybe the third one's neutral. But they liked them. They're encouraging people to check out the new miniatures because they think they're quite good. And then blow it up here, the ad on the bottom, which is for Bacon, or BA-Con, but I like to call it Bacon 2, in June. And I looked on my calendar to confirm, that's how I know the date, that this Saturday, June 28th, happens in 1980. So this Palantir is put out sometime in the first half of the year 1980, because they're advertising their upcoming event. And that's the same thing they had in the last one, right? That they put on these events and invite people to come and play Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm sure other games as well. They mentioned RuneQuest and Traveler. Here's the crossword puzzle. I'm going to do it after I record this video. I don't know if I'll record myself trying to do it or not. It might be a little embarrassing if I can't figure it out. But I like this idea, and so if you guys want to pause it here, I don't know if you'll be able to zoom in or not and see it. I could try to post a photograph of it somewhere, I suppose. Steve Gailor is the one who did this. Okay, so then we have our new monsters, and these are from the movie, right? And so they've got the big alien creature, big and powerful. Every time you hit it, it's going to spew out acid that's going to damage you. Its goal is to get a hold of a party member still alive, drag them away, and plant its eggs in you, right? And they say if the person ends up actually being killed, then the alien will just eat you. It moves super silently, and so they say it basically always gets surprised. It can cause fear. If you're really close to it, when it suddenly appears near the party, you can end up paralyzed with fear, which makes it easy for him to grab you and take you away to fill you up with all its little alien babies, or whatever you want to call those things. So here's the alien creature, and then the next thing they have is the egg/fake face hugger, they call it, right? Remember, the egg hatches and this thing comes out and gets right on the face, and just nasty. And of course, the third thing that they call the chest burster, right? The thing that pops out of the chest and tries to eat you. So, drawing inspiration from a popular movie there. Smash and Stab, Part 1. And I think they're right about this, and that's why several different companies and authors put out things like this. They list all these weapons, but they don't really talk about them. And so if you don't know what they are, or how they're used, or maybe even what they look like, so they go through the arrow, the axe, the hand axe, the throwing axe, the bardiche, I may not be saying that right, the bec de corbine, definitely not saying that right, the regular composite bow, long bow, short bow, bow stick, club, the crossbow, the dagger, the dart, the flail, which their flail is just a bunch of chains on the end of a stick, the military fork, the glaive, the gisarm, different types of gisarms, big pole arms, right? The halberd, the hammer. That hammer is always nasty, right? It's like a big long stick with these spikes on it, smashing into people. And then the regular hammer, which is equally nasty. It's got the big spike at the end. You can stab somebody, you can smash them in the head, or you got the spike on the back, right? So all kinds of ways to do damage. They talk about the javelin, which meant different things throughout history, the lance and the mace. And then they have drawings down here of the different types of heads you might have on a mace. Cool stuff. All right. Testing my common phrase that you can never have too many monsters. Here's the Menagerie by Steve. The first one's by Steve Morris. It's the Bull Terrier. It's just a really, they say magic user was, fighter magic user was involved in breeding this combining to make this super great war dog. He wears chainmail, so that's awesome. And he has this move where he'll spin and hit you in the knees and crack your knees. And as he rolls against armor class 6, if he's successful, you trip and you're knocked down. And then he bites you, tries to come in and get you at the neck and chomp on your neck. And if he's successful there, he won't let go, and he'll just keep doing damage every round as he rips your throat out. So that's the Bull Terrier. The second thing here, there's a blow up of the Bull Terrier. So the second monster here is from this novel that I've never heard of, and it's called Borables instead of Horribles. And these are basically like little kids who got left on the street to fend for themselves, and they mutate. And he has some odd facial mutations or changes that occur. And they attack. He calls it a crossbow, but it's a slingshot. It's their favorite weapon. And then their nemesis is this thing called the Rumbles. And this is what a rumble looks like. And they have basically a sharpened, pointy stick, which is their favorite weapon, the rumble stick. And so that's what those guys are all about. That's it for the Palantir number 2. It continues to be a pretty decent fanzine. It's a little shorter than some of the other ones, and the content's always entertaining, I think. So I'm looking forward to talking more about those in the future. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos. Hope you're subscribed to the channel, and if you've got some friends who might enjoy our stuff, please send them our way, because we're always looking to add more people to the community. You all have a great Friday, a great weekend. Until next time, my friends, keep rolling 20s.